Welcome to another inspiring episode of Self Love for Everyday Superheroes talk show. I'm Victoria, your host, and today we have a very special episode for you. We're diving deep into the topic of achieving your goals and experiencing personal transformation as we approach the end of 2023. Yes, we are almost there already. Plus, we're celebrating Women's Entrepreneurship Day. To guide us on this extraordinary journey, we have the incredible Sacred Walker, co host and founder of the Institute and the show. Welcome, Sacred.
Good to see you, Victoria. Welcome, Victoria. I'm so excited for our episode
Thank
today.
you. Good to see you as well. As we are nearing the end of 2023, are you ready for the holidays?
I'm ready for the holidays, but I'm based out here in New York and I'm not ready for this cold. I'll tell you that. I don't know about you.
Listen, I'm in North Carolina, and I know not to complain about that because I know you'll have us beat with the weather.
That
Well,
part.
awesome. Well, thank you for joining us, Sacred, as we talk about just goals and achieving them during as we come to the end of the year. So, Sacred, as we embark on this discussion about achieving goals and personal transformation, can you share some insights on why setting and achieving goals is essential for personal growth and empowerment, especially for visionary women of color?
Absolutely. And there are going to be some gems. So I want to make sure that you go ahead and like and subscribe now. Catch it because I want to make sure that every single time we have a new episode that drops, you'll get it. And I want to make sure that you hold on because at the very end of this, we're going to be dropping gems now and also making sure that you get some tools and tips towards the end. So do stay tuned. All right. So I want us to look at this together because that's a very, very good question. You know, I feel like for all leaders, for all visionary leaders, towards the end of the year, achieving our goals is a feeling of, oh my gosh, it's already November. It's already December. How did that happen? How did the time fly? And whatever you set at the beginning of the year for your New Year's resolution, whatever goals you set, and especially if you are a woman entrepreneur, whatever entrepreneurial or career goals you set, towards the end of the year, you start asking yourself, wait, did I do it? That's the question in the air, right? As the hours get, the daytime gets darker and the hours feel like they're getting shorter, you begin to feel literally because there's less daytime hours out. You get to feel like what's happening with my day and am I accomplishing enough, right? So added pressure to being a visionary woman of color. Setting and achieving goals is about, making sure that you can break through those barriers and shatter those glass ceilings and shatter kind of the misconceptions that get put on us already. So now you're a leader, you're a visionary, so you're already dreaming big and setting very high hopes for yourself, which is what takes us to that next level. And then on top of it, you're a woman of color entrepreneur, which both you and I are. So we get it, right? That we are going after big fish, oftentimes in places and spaces that are, sometimes celebrating us and sometimes questioning, can we do it, right? And so this is why marking the end of the year really can sometimes become a challenge that's very unique to the different ways that our identities show up in the world. And we show up, but it doesn't mean that we don't have some voices on the inside telling us otherwise.
And so, as we're coming to the end of the year and we're thinking, did we do it right? What are some proven strategies for success that can supercharge us towards the end of the year and take us to the new year, but particularly tailored for visionary women of color? Can you give us like a sneak peek into some of the strategies you have?
Absolutely. So we have a framework throughout our company, right? That's really grounded in under the umbrella of self-love for everyday superheroes, a methodology that we've seen work tried and true again and again. And through that, in empowering specifically visionary women of color, we have a holistic approach. We have found that if we leave out the mind, the body, the spirit, the relationships, the home, and the ancestral, cultural, learned behaviors, good, bad, or indifferent, right? And change our relationship to them sometimes. That we will miss the mark. And this is where I see a lot of the well-being industry falling short, is not really having and honoring a holistic approach. And that's essential to how we show up in our methodology.
And as visionary women of color, we can tend to struggle with imposter syndrome and the feel of feeling spread too thin while pursuing goals. How can your strategies help them overcome these unique challenges and maintain a healthy balance in their lives?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Imposter syndrome can be particularly daunting for visionary women of color, entrepreneurs, especially given some of the systematic barriers that we face. And hand in hand with that, we're our own bosses, right? And so if we're not careful, if we had a boss before we became an entrepreneur, we can be harder on ourselves as a boss than the boss we had beforehand. I remember I had this very amazing boss, right before I stepped into my entrepreneurship, and I was so excited. I felt supported. We did a startup launch. They donated. We did this international campaign. I was like, okay, celebrate, celebrate. And then I went into a fellowship and I had someone who was so harsh and so undercutting. And it turns out that they felt threatened by what I was bringing into the world versus celebrating me. Right. And sometimes, if we're not careful as women, we can cut each other down versus bigging each other up. And so that added to the imposter syndrome that I had, that was an old learned behavior of, oh my gosh, I stepped out on something new. Is this going to work out? Am I good enough for this? Is this what I'm called to do? And I personalized it. I personalized the messages he was sending to me. And she actually grew a multi seven figure business. And I was just starting out and I was seeking mentorship. And it wasn't until the very end that she actually said to me, I'm sorry. I'm sorry because I thought I had to be hard on you to teach you how to be tough in the business. But in doing so, I was actually discouraging you. And that's when I had to unlearn that imposter syndrome that was getting put onto me, while also the imposter syndrome that I had felt on the inside, right? Around like, actually, I'm not an imposter. And so sometimes when we align with our goals and our authentic self, and we know I'm called for this as an entrepreneur, I am uniquely built for bringing this gift out into the world. And sometimes having those mentors and having that community and having that deeper healing work to support that can make a difference.
So, could I know that you spoke about and you mentioned the N two-step method? Can you provide more details about this method and how it can be a game changer specifically for visionary women of color?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, as I mentioned before, we, kind of really go into this methodology. And just to speak into it, one part of it are belong in love, right? So we believe in, as visionary leaders, visionary women in love, visionary women of color, excuse me, we belong in love is the whole framework for our company, right? But I want to hone in on the N, which is what you're asking about. The N stands for doing the inner work to nurture harmony. And for visionary women of color, that's a part of what's so essential in entrepreneurship, because that inner work is what's going to drive us to be able to show up and be able to break those 5, 6, 7, multi 7, 8 figure opportunities, to have energy for it, right? And to also take the failures as stepping stones for our future, right? So the in is doing that healing work, and I'm going to talk more about that in a moment. And the N is about nurturing harmony in our relationships, in our team that we're building, our dream team, etc. So then that way we're seeing alignment with having a healthy lifestyle while we level up. And we're going to talk more about that in a moment, for sure.
So, we've discussed nurturing harmony in previous episodes, and today we're focusing on step two of the method, which involves nurturing harmony through couples therapy, child therapy, and inner child healing, specifically for visionary women of color. Could you explain how this step fits into the overall journey of personal transformation?
Absolutely, absolutely. So one of the things that's unique about our model that really, as of today, okay, is uncopyable, right? Because when you show up powerfully as an entrepreneur and you're doing your unique thing, you have a unique imprint, and this is one of ours. A lot of group coaching programs come in and you are in a swirl, raising your hand, trying to get through. And we did focus groups around the world that said, I don't want to feel like I'm raising my hand, trying to get through. I'm already feeling spread thin. I don't want to feel like I show up and my energy feels spread thin. And I had to listen to that. I also heard sometimes I don't always feel seen. I don't always feel celebrated. I don't always feel like I'm getting that deeper work. And so one of the things that we began to do, and I began to do, was create a model around nurturing harmony that was allowing you the opportunity to be matched with someone who sees your unique skill sets, respects your cultural nuances, honors your spiritual walk, honors your calling to lead a holistic and healthy lifestyle, and be matched with a therapist or an executive coach that honors you, right? So if you are having trouble in your marriage, in your relationship, right? Or if your child has either felt like they are going out of control, or you feel like they're shy and shrinking back. As visionaries, that's going to affect our heart, right? If your inner childhood stuff gets kicked up every time a team member doesn't show up, or maybe a team member, for some reason or the other, you're having some conflict, it's going to kick up our stuff. And a lot of these group coaching programs don't acknowledge the deeper work that's necessary. So if your heart is impacted, it's going to be hard for you to be able to show up powerfully day in and day out. And so you get matched when you are a part of this process with an accountability coach who is a therapist or an executive coach who will help you to repair those relationships, to really make sense of some of those past wounds, help you to find balances so that you can thrive, so that you can show up as the visionary woman of color that you are.
And within step two, you offer tailored solutions for individuals and couples addressing a variety of challenges unique to visionary women of color. How do these tailored solutions help them on their path to transformation and holistic well being?
Absolutely. So it helps specifically because what I've seen, and excuse me, because I'm getting a little, I'm thinking about someone in particular who, just knowing her and seeing the shift was so powerful. Let me tell you a little story. There's a woman who reached out who, got promoted as the chief operating officer, and, in her marriage was experiencing a lot of turmoil and was feeling like after 10 years of marriage, suddenly her wife was questioning her, whereabouts, was questioning, do you still love me? And was constantly feeling like she was up to something, right? And there was this real pain that was happening that made it hard for her to both celebrate this new promotion, right? In an organization that was led and founded by an entrepreneur. She came in like, yes, I'm so excited to bring my gift of strategy. And the strategist in her felt like, I don't have a solution for this. I can't create a strategy that's going to fix my marriage. And so we needed to do some work around that, around how there was something that had shifted in their love life, right? There was something that had shifted that was kicking up her childhood stuff, that had her feeling like she wasn't as saucy and sexy and wanted anymore, and also had to do some healing with her wife to be able to know that there was a sense of security that had to be rebuilt, because something happens when you hit your 10th anniversary that had broken a repair of trust in their relationship, and they needed to heal that. And on the other side, they were able to effectively communicate, get out of their heads, transform shutting down, and celebrate this next chapter, not only for her new role as chief operating officer, but truly they had an amazing 10-year anniversary celebration. Now, that would have looked very different because somebody else would have been like, oh, you can't be happy for me? I'm good. I'm out of here. I'm done because this is toxic and this is my next level. But if we hadn't matched her with a therapist that can understand her unique challenges as a visionary woman of color, hand in hand with what it sometimes feels like to be at the back seat in your relationship when someone else is a visionary and you have been their support for all these years, and sometimes you don't always feel like you're shining. If we didn't have space and place for that, the thing that got her the support, her backbone, her rock that helped her to get there might have been left in the dust. And so this is what happens when we have the end, when we're nurturing harmony. Things shift, and then hand in hand, she could celebrate both her love life and her level up.
And with that, with personalized coaching and therapy, it's clearly highlighted as superpowers in your program, specifically tailored for visionary women of color. Why is personalized support so crucial in helping them achieve their goals and lead fulfilling lives?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I want you to make a note of this one. All right, just make a note. I want you to write down the word "I'm taking it personal." The words "I'm taking it personal."
I'm taking it
People always say,
personal.
"Oh, don't take it." I'm taking it personal. People always like, "Don't take it so personal." Like, I just want to be all alone. I'm not even gonna pretend I can sing, but you know what I'm talking about, right? Like there's always this like, "Don't take it personal." For a moment, I want you to write down, "I'm taking it personal." Because sometimes, if it feels personal to you, it's because you're navigating something that is personal. And we want to look at that. The world tells us don't take it personal, and there's space for that, right? Don't take on other people's stuff, right? Leave toxicity where it needs to be, let people do their work. But I want you to take it personal, because when we do the inner work, and we can look at how your relationships might be a reflection of something that's coming up on the inside. Why is this feeling personal? Because it is personal. This gives you the opportunity to get some support, to be matched with a therapist, an executive coach who is going to help you see it's feeling personal because it is. What's getting kicked up on the inside of you that could be either a stumbling block to your success? And let's take a personal look at it, transform it so you can shine.
Sacred, you created a holistic mental health and coaching community through the Wellbeing Mastery Program, specifically tailored to visionary women of color. What can our listeners expect when they become part of this community, and how can it contribute to their transformational journey?
Absolutely. So our well-being mastery program, it's a sacred space. And I'm not saying that because my name is sacred. I truly believe in creating sacred spaces, right? Where visionary women of color can come together, connect, learn, and grow. And when you, as a listener, become a part of our program and look in the show notes and go over to Self Love for Everyday Superheroes or selfloveforsuperheroes.com, excuse me, selfloveforsuperheroes.com, when you hop on over there, you can gain access to our network and you can understand what it means on a new level to be surrounded by others who you experience a sense of belonging with as you are navigating your entrepreneurial journey. And if you are not an entrepreneur, even though today we're honoring Women's Entrepreneurship Day, we recognize that you may have an entrepreneurial spirit. You may want to do new things, bring nuances to the world, bring a book out, travel more. Something in you wants to expand. That's an entrepreneurial spirit, right? As you are navigating that, we're supporting you in a community that's going to help you to shine.
And before we wrap, what are some takeaways that you would like our listeners to walk away with?
Absolutely. So, if you are connected to the 80s or 90s, or say, for example, you're not, but you know about them, I want you to, as you hear the song, right? As you hear the song in your spirit, don't take it personal, right? I want you to remember the words, take it personal. I just want to be all alone, but you're thinking I'm doing you wrong. I want you to be with that for a moment. And I love song references because sometimes songs speak into our spirit just as deeply as a therapist or coach can. It's like music to the soul, if you will. And a lot of the program incorporates music and creativity, right? And writing and so forth. But I want you to hear those words. And I want you to give yourself permission to make the end of the year your best year yet by looking at the spots that you don't always see in the quiet moments of your soul. I want you to take it personal. And I want you to hop over to selfloveforsuperheroes.com and say yes to you because you deserve to shine. And your stumbling block doesn't mean that you are a problem. Your stumbling block means that you're human. Come on in your humanness, everyday superhero. We got you. We got you.
And we are coming to that time when we are coming to a close. But before we close it out, Sacred, what are some closing thoughts or words of wisdom that you have for visionary women of color?
Absolutely. So I want you to breathe in and breathe in the love. I want you to exhale what no longer serves you. Remember, you are born to shine. And as an entrepreneur, you are showing up every day, bringing your gift out into the world, and know that you are worthy of that. And if the inner critic tells you otherwise, tell her or him or them, I'm taking it personal. And when you say yes to you, right, it's worth it. It's worth it. So if it feels personal, it's because it's your baby, it makes sense. But because you're lovable, because you exist, I want you to remember that when you remembered who you were, the game changed. Okay, so game changes. I'm rooting for you. I look forward to the comments below and connecting with you in future shows. And Victoria, Powerhouse co host, I'm so honored as always to be in community with you as sister and friend.
Thank you. And before we wrap, I'd like to invite all our listeners to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more inspiring episodes. Thank you, Sacred, for being a guiding light on this journey to personal transformation. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Until next time, take care and thrive.